Welcome to another episode of WTF Cinema.
Hi everybody, welcome back to WTF Cinema. I know, I've been gone a while, I'm sorry. I moved to Austin, I started a new job, I spent a week working as a script consultant for a Dallas-based production company, which came about as a result of my Fantastic Four review, so huzzah to that. Basically, it's just been real crazy, trying to settle down life in a new city with a new job, and then WTF Cinema got pushed back for a while, but we're back now. You may also notice I stopped dressing up. It's because I have to wear a shirt and tie for work, and it lost some of the whimsy, I gotta be honest. Today's movie is a very special film, though. This movie was introduced to me as a child, oh, so many years ago, by my childhood friend Ryan Cabral. We have him to thank for this. I remember almost none of this movie. I remember one scene, and that's it. So let's try and find out what exactly it is that I've completely blocked from my memory and watch the Spanish sci-fi movie, Star Night. Oh, I have a feeling this is gonna hurt. Oh man, the movie can't even decide what aspect ratio it should be in. I miss Krull. We open with, some guy apparently summoning a demon. Demons are entertaining, right? Actually, it turns out that he's trying to summon an angel through God so that the angel can give him the secret to everlasting life. Because typically when one attempts to speak to angels, one draws pentagrams. Well-known fact. And since God enjoys a good joke just like any of us, look at the duck-billed platypus, for example. Instead of sending down an angel, he sends a spaceship. We then cut to a guy who is trying to talk a goat into committing suicide by leaping off a ledge. Everybody needs a hobby, right? So the goat leaps, but then is caught in a magical force field known as reversing the film. Ooh. Now, even though none of the villagers got a really good look at this spaceship, word of it has spread, and they're all convinced it's a dragon that's out to eat all their sheep. So they start petitioning the king. They're all upset because, oh, there's a dragon in town! Arr. We're also introduced to some fairly typical castle politics. The king is a jerk. The head knight wants to marry the princess. The princess wants to marry anybody but the head knight. The priest thinks that the wizard is a Satanist, and the wizard thinks the priest is superstitious, and the priest really wants to be running the kingdom. Really, it's all the makings of a decent sitcom. Yeah, or that. You can tell by the music something wacky's about to happen. See, the guards are keeping an eye out for the princess trying to leave in disguise. So he stops these monks, because he figures that it's the princess. And then while he's staring at the monks and just staring at them because he already apologized to them and is done talking to them, the princess rides by in disguise on a very loud horse. Guy's job is to keep an eye out for the princess trying to leave, and she does so by riding right next to him on a really loud horse while he's just staring at these monks. A nearby knight recognizes her as the princess. Not because he's ever seen the princess before, but because he figures she's beautiful, so she must be a princess. Is there no such thing as ugly princesses? I mean, inbreeding, royalty, never happened? Never had an ugly princess? Also, this knight never leaves this bridge. His entire purpose is to be a running gag. He serves no function to the plot. He advances nothing. It's just an attempt at some comedy, so I'm glad we wasted time on that. The princess then decides that, you know what? The middle of the day, open woods, this is the perfect time and place to go skinny dipping. And she is pretty quickly sucked into the water by some mysterious force. The lady-in-waiting who sees the entire thing goes running off to the king to describe what happened. Now, we, the viewing audience at this point, know that it's a spaceship, and the spaceship is what caused her to get sucked down. It also caused that goat to go flying up into the air. My question is, what? What kind of spaceship makes one random goat flap into the air, but nothing around it, and then sucks one random princess down underwater where she can almost drown. What are the mechanics of this thing? How does this it never affects anything else like this throughout the entire movie. Nothing else goes flying up or sinking down as a result of this spaceship. Why?
It was enormous, this dragon, with enormous clawed arms and enormous bulging eyes.
Worry not, my lord. I shall rescue the fair Alba from the hideous monster. As I have bowed to the people, I now bow to thee.
Snorting fire it was, with teeth like giant columns. Oh.
Okay. I get the peasant's fear of the unknown, turning these lights in the sky into a dragon. I can kind of get that. We're even shown the telephone-like system that happens where I saw it look like this, I saw it look like this and this, I get that. But she saw the princess just get sucked down into the water. She saw it happen. So she's just flat out lying to the king now, right? Because there were no claws, there were no eyes, there were no flame. She saw it happen. The princess went, ah! And drowned. And she goes back and says, oh my gosh, there was a great big dragon? She's just flat out lying. So all the knights gather together and they go to the lake to slay the dragon. Whereupon, the spaceship rises from the lake and goes away. Not that you ever get to see the spaceship, really. The most you see of it is a bunch of fog and lights because the movie couldn't afford a real spaceship. But fog and lights, what more do you need? While holding a funeral for the poor drowned princess, the priest explains to the masses that the dragon was brought there by their sin. Why does this sound familiar?
God met, I really believe that the pagans and the abortionists and the feminists and the gays and the lesbians who are actively trying to make that an alternative lifestyle, the ACLU, People for the American Way, all of them who tried to secularize America, I point the finger in their face and say, you helped this happen.
Of course, the princess ruins a perfectly good funeral by showing up to it. And here's the one scene of the movie I actually remember. The flashback to her skinny dipping. Now, hey, cut me a little bit of slack here. I think it may have been the first time I ever actually saw boobs. I was so young, in fact, that one of Ryan's friends explained to us that girls' breasts actually grow larger depending on the number of kids they had. So that's how you know if a chick had kids. If she was flat-chested, she didn't have kids. But if she'd had, 6 or 7 kids, then, bazoom! That's how boobs worked. And we believed it. We were that young. And that's stupid. After hypnotizing the princess, the wizard learns a little bit about the spaceship and the guy inside of it, and so he goes off to search for it. Now, a great deal is made about the conflict between the head priest and who I'm calling the wizard. They call him the sage, but look at his clothes. He's a wizard. Now, the wizard feels that the head priest is superstitious and stuck in the past and old-thinking and not very scientific. These opinions are coming from the guy who drew a pentagram to try to summon angels to give him the secret to everlasting life, and who believes that the alien is an angel sent by God. But he's the one who thinks the head priest is a little superstitious and full of nonsense. I'm glad we have drawn a very firm line between these two characters, science and superstition, provided that we count trying to summon angels as science. So despite the fact that the alien never speaks a word, he does manage to communicate to the wizard that he's an alien and that he and the princess are in love with one another. Oh, and by the way, here's how you create the elixir of eternal life. Just because, we've got that information, why not share it with the lesser species? So the alien then sneaks into the castle to see the princess again. See, he let the princess go because he's a very important alien on a very important mission for his home planet. Also, he realized that despite loving her, the two of them could never be together because he can't breathe the same air as her. It would kill him, so he has to stay in the suit at all times, which irritates the daylights out of her. And this is all so very tragic because they've known each other for a couple of hours. And yet their love is never meant to be.
Kill you?
Oh, God. He communicates in ear-splitting synth tones, and yet everybody understands what he's saying. Oh, God, why can't he just speak English and there be a translator?
No, don't touch me.
I don't want you to touch me with those horrible gloved hands. Let me go!
Well, excuse me, princess.
So our gallant knight attacks the alien to try and, hey, hands off my dame, stuff like that. It was very insightful of the alien race to make sure that their spacesuits were sword-proof, because that's not something I would have expected to run into, but the sword just keeps bouncing off of them. Even the glass. He pummels on the glass for a while. Not a crack. That's some pretty impressive technology and foresight. Now, while this chase scene is going on, I'd like to come clean with you. I have lied to you. The head knight is not a knight at all. You see, apart from wanting to marry the princess, the thing he wants most in life is to be knighted. He's the king's right-hand man. He issues orders to the knights in every scene he's in. He's the only knight who's a main character and who is constant throughout the movie as definitely a main character. He is in charge of the knights from everything I can see. But he himself is not a knight because the king thinks he's not good enough yet and he has to prove himself. How does the hierarchy in this realm work? If the guy issuing orders to all the knights isn't a knight, when he gets knighted, does he get demoted? I mean, I don't really understand. It's great that you wanted to give him a character arc and he has 2 whole desires. Woohoo! But why is he in a position of power if he has no power? Now, at the conclusion of our chase scene, our alien and princess have no other choice but to leap off of the tower and away from the angry mob. So the princess and the alien fly away together and live happily ever after. The end. Yeah, we're only halfway through this movie. I'd forgotten how painful these can be.
Thank you for watching WTF Cinema. Until next time, what the f***, man?